Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I'm Peter, that is Connor. We're going to talk about Better Call Saul, Season 3, Episode 9. It is called Fall. Full spoilers for the episode, as always. So this was... This feels like a big turning point.
Yeah.
Particularly the end of the episode. And not even just the end, actually. Like, Saul's entire thing in this episode is very hard to see him as likable, given what
Yeah,
he does.
it's like okay, I get it. This is what season 4 and beyond is now. Like where we're this back half of this season's kind of been pushing us into what can we expect going forward, and now I see it.
Saul, obviously, we had the whole sandpaper case that he helped. This was the last season with the elder. This is how he got into the elder law, but he gets like a share of the payout once it eventually comes through, and he was quite happy to wait until it went through naturally and everything eventually went to court and all the rest of it. But Irene, who's sort of the head of the lawsuit, can't accept the payout. But now that he's hard up for money, he wants it. So he goes over with some cookies that he pretends he baked himself. He puts them on a
That's
plate.
it. Immediately, it's okay. He's back to cheating.
He's lying. He's lying. He's cheating. He's stealing to finish the Eddie Guerrero song. But he goes in and he does all this dance, and he clearly wants her to do this, and he's and I think, apart from the fact that obviously it's telling that he intentionally sabotages her friendship with her friends, with all of her other elderly sort of peers, where they all start to shun her because they think she's looking down on them. It's like, oh, I've got money, you don't need money, so I won't accept it. It's kind of what he puts in their heads, which is complete bullshit. He even rigs the bingo game to then add the extra layer on that she'll see. Oh, she's so lucky she's winning more stuff when
He's crazy manipulative in this one.
Yeah, to the point of it's just downright devious.
Vicious.
Vicious is a good word for it.
Because there's it's actually done with intent and malice for personal gain. It's not just something that he's done for a case like normal.
It's mean spirited. It's because I think a lot of the times in this show when he's been ducking and diving, he's been cheating a little bit. It's mostly been for a relatively noble cause.
That's what I say. It's generally been he's working on a case, so it's for someone else's benefit. Yeah. I mean, obviously he wants the payday from the case, but he still wants to win for that person.
Or it's for Kim, who we know he cares about, so it feels like more of a genuine love thing or something like that. Whereas this is just outright, he doesn't want to admit that he's failing and needs help. He's going to do this to get the money to save face. And it's awful to watch, and it's funny because obviously we get a lot of screen time with Irene and the other characters, and all of it was really like, see when he goes into the mall and they're all mall walking, which is a pastime I'd forgot existed until this scene. Like, I've heard of it before, but it's not something you think about, mall walking. But he goes in with he's got his stupid headband on and he's showing off these Reeboks, and he's like, oh, it's like walking on clouds. I love the idea that he went out and bought those just for this. Like, you're spending money here, Jimmy. Come on.
I love the idea that he was so convinced of this plan working. He went and bought not one pair for him, and he's like, all right, I need a pair for her. But so he bought a pair in every size, just to be safe. He's like, I don't know what pair, what size shoes she wears.
To be fair, he can take the risk back, so I won't fault that part of the plan too much.
Given the fact that we know he hasn't got that much to begin with, he got the payout for his commercials, but that's it. That's all the money he has at the minute.
Yeah. But like I say, it's downright devious. The way he's manipulating it, it's legitimately uncomfortable when he's talking to Irene, and he's like... So then when she breaks down at the bingo game and he goes to talk to her, and he's got that ridiculous white suit on, and he's playing up the character so much. You feel him... It feels so slimy. So when he comes in at the end to the office with the booze, and he's like, oh, let's celebrate, I'm getting my payout. It feels just... You kind of feel a little bit disgusted with him.
You do. You're like, this is the first time you've won, but it feels hollow for us to watch.
Yeah, and then especially, obviously we'll get to Kim's side and we'll go back to her start, but just her in this scene, she's got work to do, it's serious stuff, she's stressed, she's doing all this stuff, and she's like, no, that's all, I've got stuff to do, I need to go, and he's like, no, ignore it, 5 minutes.
Well, that's it. He's like, we've got the money now. It's no need. But for her, it's not just about them. Obviously, that's a big part of it, but it's her professional reputation as well.
Professional pride, pride and reputation, like everything. It's about doing the right thing. It's about committing to something and seeing it through properly and doing a proper job. Where, as far as he's concerned, if you inch over the finish line, that's you. Obligations, be damned.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. He's fulfilled the contract to it. It almost makes him more of a lawyer, actually, that he just does it no more. He just gets exactly what he needs to do, and that's it.
He is kind of the epitome of slimy lawyers, that the stereotype is.
Yeah. And we know he can be better, though, which I think is what makes this even more heartbreaking, is to see him doing all this shit. It just makes it worse.
That's it. It's the first time we've really seen him be this I mean, we've seen him do selfish things, but never at the expense of someone so innocent.
Oh, yeah, someone innocent is a victim in this.
Yeah, and I think that's the difference. He's done selfish things. He's played against Hamlin or whatever. Like, we've seen that a lot in the first season, but that felt like, there's a rivalry there. It's fine.
Yeah, it felt like he was getting a lot of shit in return. Even if technically they were in the right in terms of the system, it felt like they were abusing it. So him fighting back, it kind of felt like, he's the working man fighting the regime.
Yeah, he was the underdog that you were rooting for. Whereas here, he's just hurting someone innocent for his own gain.
Yeah. And I think especially you feel bad, and what's kind of spurs, because he doesn't quite go full throttle with that plan. I mean, he tries it, obviously. He goes to Irene, but he goes to see Hamlin, and he tries to convince him, because obviously they're involved with the case. He tries to convince him, look, you're hurting them, and he sees right through it. And the funny thing is in season 1, Hamlin was a dick, and then we found out it was actually Chuck that was behind, like, keeping him from and then Hamlin felt a bit more human. And he's been a lot more likeable ever since. But I like that this scene here, he's a straight up dick to Saul, but I'm on his side.
Yeah, it's like, no, Saul deserves it in this one.
It does. I mean, don't get me wrong, arguably he goes a little bit far when he pulls out, do you want a handout? And he just pulls out a wad of cash.
It's interesting, because obviously we see more of his plot, we'll get to that, but we understand his mindset. We understand that, he's pretty stressed right now as it is. This is just one more piece of shit that he doesn't have the time to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, this is basically what this scene is. It's Hamlin saying, I don't have time for your bullshit. Go away. But he sees right through him, and he's right. Like, everything he says is accurate. He's doing this for himself. It's sleazy. It's everything. He sees it.
It's kind of crazy that if you'd said in season 1 that we'd be at a point where we're siding with Hamlin over Jimmy. Yeah,
and a scene like this where he's being this confrontational and sort of abrasive about what he's saying about him. But we got to a point there where they've set everything up so well that I'm on his side. He's right, and it makes sense. So that was Saul's side of things. I will say I didn't really like, because you see him putting the I can't remember exactly what it was, but the stuff that made the bingo balls magnetic. He's like injecting some, what was it, mercury? It wasn't mercury. It was like a. It was primer.
Something magnetic.
It was soldering primer or something like that. I remember seeing the label. But it's magnetic, the point, anyway. So, but I didn't realise that. At first I thought, wait, are those pool balls? I thought it was going to like rig a pool game and like bet someone or something like that. But then obviously it cuts to the
bingo hall.
The machine, the balls are all rumbling, and I'm like, I know what he's doing. And the funny thing is not only did I just get that he'd rigged the bingo game, I knew exactly why he was doing it as well. As soon as I got that he'd rigged the bingo, I was like, he's going to make her win to make her look worse in front of everyone else. Like, I got it immediately.
It's so obvious, but not in a bad way.
Yeah. You know how his mind works.
Because we know what's going on.
Yeah, you know how his mind works. And obviously we'd seen that montage of Irene being like dissed by all her friends. It's really sad.
It was.
Dear. So let's jump ship. Yeah, let's go to Hamlin's information. Hamlin and Chuck kind of were another big plot of this episode. I mean, there was only a couple of scenes really, but we had Hamlin and Chuck with basically people from this insurance company that do the malpractice insurance. Obviously, we hinted at that coming up in the last episode, and they were basically saying, all your premiums are going to go up across the board, not just for Chuck, but the entire firm. Because he's involved. Because
he's a senior partner.
Yeah, he reflects on all of them. So because of that, this goes up for everyone. And they argue a case, and then they say, but there's another option. Chuck could be supervised on all of his cases, which obviously Hamlin brings up a valid point, and that's like wasting 2 attorneys when you're only charging the same amount, because they can't charge the client for double. Yeah, it's not their fault. So he disputes that, and this is where we see that, despite the fact that Chuck has it. Technically, we've seen a better side of him since he's like sort of practically, kind of like systematically tried to cure himself. He's like seen that it can be done, and we've complimented him a lot for that. But certainly, we see here throughout this episode that he is part of that asshole is still him.
Yeah, it wasn't all just this illness. Yeah. It was no, he's a bit of a dick.
And if anything, it's worse now, because here we can't excuse, because before you could almost excuse a lot of it because okay, it is partly the illness, it's part of this mental, and arguably maybe that's still part of like his decision making, his aggressiveness to being challenged. Maybe that, like, maybe he never used to be like this to this extent. It is something that's happened since his wife left him, but basically he threatens to sue the insurance company. He's like, oh, we'll find all these things you're breaking, all these legalities you're infringing upon, and all the rest of it. And they leave in a huff, basically. And Hamlin, and I'm like, I don't think Hamlin's too happy he just did that. I think
he's pissed.
This is another example of Chuck just like, he can't accept losing ground in any way. It's not even just losing the battle. He just can't accept conceding on anything. So he's made this threat. He's again this very unprofessional. And the thing is, to Chuck, it feels professional. He feels like, oh, I'm doing this by the book, and they can't say a goddamn thing. But he's using it in an aggressive way where he's doing this for himself. He doesn't want to admit that there's anything wrong with him, even though he kind of had done, which is the weird thing. But he's holding on to this idea that he can still be a lawyer. He can still come back to this any day now. And
he keeps trying to prove that. Like, even in this meeting, all the lights are on. Like, it's a normal room setup. There's nothing changed to accommodate for him like we had before.
But of course, Hamlin gets up and he flips the switch off after they leave. He puts it back into, like, it's almost like he's keeping up appearances for people.
I think that's exactly what it is, especially when it was the insurance company.
Yeah. Including Hamlin himself, because Chuck goes up and turns it back on when he's trying to prove his point in a minute. But basically, Hamlin sort of broaches the idea. He gets a drink out and he's like, "Hey, I've got a friend who does lectures over at the university. You know, remember him? He used to work here." And he's talking about, maybe you could do that. He said you could come over and, like, give some lectures, and if you liked it, it could be a regular thing. And Chuck is immediately like, "Why are you suggesting this? How dare you?" Immediately he is upset by the notion that he's trying to politely ask him out. And then Hamlin's like, "It's not a suggestion." And he's like, and it's not just this, it's everything that you've done in the last couple of years, everything about it, the way you've acted, the way you have targeted people aggressively and went after things that we would not have otherwise pursued. Your judgment is impaired, is basically the point, and your reputation, your image brings everyone down. As we've just seen, that's what the scene was before this. It was an example of that.
Yeah, we always get the idea that he reflects on the company in general. It's his name on it ultimately, so of course he reflects. But here is a straight financial implication, not just we might get paid less, we might lose clients, which is down the line potential down to their reputation. But here is, no, you are physically costing us more right now.
Yeah, it's not even like he wants it to be like a bad goodbye. It's like, no, your name will stay in the company. Presumably, being a partner in that capacity, he would still be making money from it, I imagine. Like, he would still...
Yeah.
Maybe not as much as a practicing lawyer. Maybe more. I don't know. Like, I don't know how that
maybe
works,
I just assumed, because he mentioned legacy, so I thought maybe the idea was that he wouldn't get paid. He'd get like a retirement, his pension and all that. But I figured, which is pretty hefty, to be fair.
For a law firm like that.
Yeah, exactly. It's pretty hefty. So I imagine he'd get his pension. But I think it's more your name stays up there. Your legacy is intact. Your name carries on.
Which, to be fair, with Chuck, you feel that as a part of him, because that's why he didn't want Saul being a lawyer.
Exactly.
He didn't want that.
And Hamlin knows this. That's why he's appealing to that.
Yeah. And honestly, it's a fair enough suggestion. Look, there's other things you could do, and you could do this more part-time. Because you wouldn't need the money as much, kind of thing. Like, you do this, you'd earn some, and so on. But he's just immediately offended, and that's kind of the end of the scene. And later on, Hamlin receives a letter. It's just after the Saul scene, I think. He receives this letter, and he assumes it's a retirement notice, kind of thing.
It's as soon as he's like, "Oh, go and ring around, plan the party," I'm like, "This isn't that."
And he looks pissed, and we immediately cut to him at Chuck's house. He's
like, no. The best bit is when he opens it, he reads it, and he just goes, "God damn it, Chuck." That sums up my feelings entirely. Like, when you think Chuck is like, okay, he's getting better, it was the illness, and then he does this. It's like, God damn it, Chuck.
And it's not even, I even think, because up until now, at least, I mean, I understand them all three episodes. Everything feels in line with his character. Nothing feels out of nowhere. Like, everything is totally backed up with everything we've seen from Chuck from the last 3 seasons. But up until this point in the episode, it was like, I didn't necessarily begrudge him yet. Everything felt kind of like, okay, he's reacted, but maybe once he calms down, maybe once he thinks, because like again with the illness, once he realised it was a thing, he's thought about it rationally and he came to a sensible conclusions.
Yeah, we've talked about how much of a proud man he is, and he he'll have to take time to get this through his head.
Exactly. So, but it was when Hamlin went over. I mean, obviously, when he gets to know it, we don't quite know exactly what it is yet until he opens the door. He's like, "You're suing us." He's like, "Well, yeah, breach of contract," and I'm like, "Oh, this feels this almost feels as slimy as Saul in this episode."
Yeah.
When he says it's breach of contract, and he's like, "Oh, I'm going to go through all these loopholes." He's doing the exact same thing Saul does. He just does it within the system. He just does it with the actual, with the actual laws. He just does it that way. But it feels just as slimy. It feels, and this is actually this genius thing. In this scene, I almost just realised how similar they are.
Yeah, they're both just manipulating people.
And not even just that, just the idea of the pride. Yeah. Neither one of them can let their pride go. Neither one of them can just accept it. Saul has to viciously cheat innocent people, and Chuck here has to oh, you're going to take my pride away? Well, screw you, I am going to tangle you up. And then he's like, yeah, this will amount to $8 million, which, given that I'm a partner, I know you can't afford. So what do you want to do, Hamlin?
It's pretty great. I love during this he's cooking. He's got all the lights on.
The electric mixer.
Hob, and the whisk when he grabs that. That's the one where he's just he's just putting on a show. All the rest of it, I buy that he's just trying to get back into this.
The funny thing is obviously after Hamlin leaves, he puts the mixer down and he's like doing his hand and he starts saying the repetition to try and focus and all that. But I don't even need that. The thing is see when he pulled out the mixer, the wisp, I immediately went, he's throwing that in his face right now.
Yeah,
that is nothing but a tactical show.
Look how capable I am, is what he's saying there. Because like I say, when it was just the lights and the cooker, we've seen that he's trying to normalize himself. And I figured that bit was just what he was trying to do anyway.
You would imagine that if you had this condition and you were trying to get better, lights would be the first thing you would get used to. You'd accept light.
Because they're everywhere. Yeah,
but no, you would still. Cooking appliances that you don't really need to use would be the last thing in the list, I imagine.
yeah, they're the luxuries that you don't need.
Yes, a regular, manual wisp would still suffice in this situation if you needed to use one. Yeah. I mean, there's a reason why we all use electric ones if we can, it's because it's easier. But he could, and it would work. So he is making a point with that, and I think I really like that touch. Before we get to Kim, because obviously Kim kind of ends the episode, so we'll save her for last.
Yeah, we'll have to Mike, I guess.
Mike and Nacho, the two sort of little plot lines we still have left. Mike only had one scene, but it was kind of following on from last episode where he'd set up, alright, he needs to sort out his finances and get his money clean, and he goes to Lydia's company.
Yeah. It's one of those that obviously we knew the whole time she was connected with Gus. We knew she knew Mike.
And obviously we'd seen her a few weeks ago with Gus.
Yeah, but I wasn't really expecting her to see her that much in this capacity.
Oh, yeah. But it makes sense because, again, it establishes their relationship. And what I liked about this scene is more, for the most part, it was Mike questioning, you're going to put my name actually in your books. Or are people going to come looking at your books if they realise you're doing dodgy things? And she sort of points out, this is a multi-billion-dollar company. We have 150,000 employees. We have and she describes all these things. You're only funneling through what was it, 20 grand or something like that, or 10 grand a week, I think it was. That to us is like a marginal error that no one's even going to blink at. That's how much money goes through here. That is nothing. And what I liked about this is I don't think she's saying that to belittle him, and I don't even think it comes across that way. I mean, you could probably read it that way if you really wanted to, but the way I read it, it clicked in to me with where Mike was. He was sitting in this big waiting room, then he came in, it's this big white sterile office, and I like the idea that Mike, for the first time in this show, feels out of his element, because this is the white collar financial side of crime. He's very good with his hands, he's very good at being practical, he's very good at figuring puzzles out and setting up traps and things like that.
I mean, even to the point where she puts him down as logistics consultant, and he goes, nah, security. He's so out of his depth that he just wants to, at least the title that is completely irrelevant, just to be something that's familiar to him.
Yeah, exactly. That was basically the whole scene to me. It was him going into this higher up version of this work, because obviously we've seen him be indoctrinated into, because always he's a cop. That's why he's got all these skills that he has, and he's a very smart guy. Obviously, not that every cop has the same set of skills he does. He's a very capable.
Yeah, he's a very good.
Very capable. He's very good at what he does, and what he does isn't very nice. Sorry, but like he's very good at what he does, and everything. It's all been very practical. It's very like down in the dirt. Like we say, he's very good with figuring people out, figuring out their maneuvers, their tactics. Very strategic. But this side of it, this part of the criminal underworld, that takes it into this new realm of like funneling money, and like I say, white collar's the best way to sort of call it, just umbrella it. This is out of his wheelhouse. He feels lost here.
I do like that he knew his limits though. Like he went to Gus and went, look, I don't know what to do with this. You can help.
That's true. Yeah.
And even when he's here, he's questioning, but he's not dismissing what he's told. He doesn't necessarily understand it all, and he's skeptical, but he accepts that maybe she knows better than he does.
Yeah, he's trying to make him feel comfortable. And then eventually he does recede, and he gives her the driving license and stuff. And it's like he sighs and does it, and you can tell that he's not particularly comfortable with it, but he understands that he has to. And I think that's another big thing here, is he doesn't like that he has to put his trust in someone. Like, up until now, he is such a lone wolf. He does everything himself. Even when he was building the playground. No, I'll do this myself.
You're right. And it's definitely hard for him to trust someone he doesn't know. Like, he's never met before. And all he's got to go on is Gus's word. Now, obviously, I think he does have respect for Gus at this point already. And there's a reason he's here and he's on his word. He has some element of trust in that he's like, okay, maybe you've got no reason to lie to me and screw me over.
But, so that was Mike's scene. Nacho, a couple of scenes with him. Obviously, one was with Gus, with Salamanca. There was a meet. They got a phone call, not from the boss man himself, but from a surrogate. Yeah. Basically saying, oh yeah, Gussie's method's much better. We're going to stick with his thing.
Everything goes through Gus now.
Yeah. And Hector, not so pleased with that news. Smashes up the phone. Has a bit of a little moment where he gets his medication out. Obviously, Nacho's paying close attention. And he seems fine. And obviously, Nacho's worried about this, which prompts him to at least, not necessarily that the plans failed, but at least it might not have worked in time.
Yeah, I am inclined to think maybe some of it is just even a placebo effect. Because obviously, he's in a stressful situation. He knows he's angry. So maybe in his brain, he's gone, oh, okay, this is where my illness will kick in.
Yeah, he's very high-strung just on his own, and then, yeah. I could buy that. Really, this time it's just a placebo effect, and then it'll kick in maybe
at some point it will, but to a degree, I think placebo would affect him.
Yeah, no, that's fair. But it prompts Nacho to actually go to his father, and it's middle of the night, and he goes in, and he basically just fesses up. Look, man's going to come in, he's going to want to take control of your business for a little while, you have to let it happen. Because he knows what will happen if he refuses. Hector will just kill him, because we know what Hector's like. He's quite happy to off people, as we've seen. And what I think is interesting here is Nacho says, I've been working with people again. The idea that he used to do this and then he maybe didn't for a while. He made at least the...
But by the sounds of it, he stopped because his dad asked him to, maybe?
Yeah, I'd guess that. Or maybe even he did actually get in trouble. Maybe he did get arrested for some small thing at some point. And he promised his father afterwards, I'm going to get clean, I'm not going to do any criminal activity. But he's better. And the fact is, like we say, we've seen Nacho has morals. He is to an extent a good person in his role, and here he's like, look, Dad, you can disown me, you can swear at me, you can shout at me, you can ask to never see me again, but you have to promise me that you will do what he says. And he obviously he's doing this because he wants his father to be okay, he doesn't want to get hurt, and his father never actually does. His father just tells him to get out of the house.
Potentially indicative of what's to come.
Potentially. And I could see this ending in absolute tragedy. I could also see Hector have his heart attack just as he's like in the shop, trying to threaten him or something.
Yeah, I think it's notable again that we talk about how Jimmy and Chuck are both these prideful men. I think it applies to Nacho's father as well, because he's too proud to even say, fine, I will let this man do this just so I will live. He's too proud to compromise himself like that. At least it seems that way at the moment. Maybe he will be the one out of the three that can overcome that and actually listen to someone else and listen to reason.
It's funny just thinking about it. Like Breaking Bad, like Walter White very much is all about pride as well. Like his whole thing.
It is, yeah.
As it goes on, you realise that's what it's really about. I think it's interesting that this and Breaking Bad and Saul are both very much about pride getting in the way of just living.
It is interesting how that they are basically the same story in terms of a thematic standpoint.
Yeah, thematically, absolutely.
It's a man who's too proud to do what he should and ends up going down the wrong path because of it.
Except here in Saul, it's turned up a little bit more because we have two main characters who are prideful. Then if you add in Nacho's father, I wouldn't, obviously he's not a main character, but like
it's just emphasizing the point further, isn't it?
It's very, very running throughout the whole thing. So no, it's very good. So Kim, to had I mean, again, it only really amounted to 2 or 3 scenes. Obviously, we mentioned the one with Saul at the end, just before she leaves, where he's almost being disrespectful to what she needs to do, kind of thing. But earlier on, so we see her. She's out at this. Was it an oil rig?
Oil rig, yeah.
Yeah, and basically, it was the guy that the Mesa Verde guy set her up with, who needed some legal help. Basically, from what I understood of it, he bought land in one state, and it technically went over the border. And he works on his land, but because his land technically goes over the border, the other state want to tax him for all the work that he does as well. Both states.
They want to both tax him for the entirety of what's in both states.
Yeah, even though, as he points out, he makes a point of not having any of his work spill onto that side of the border. Like,
So I think he's perfectly happy to pay taxes on this state where he is.
Oh yeah, he's not trying to do anything illegal. He wants to be
exactly.
On the up
he's
and
like,
up. Yeah.
He's like, no, this is my land. I'm on this state. I will happily pay taxes on what I take on this side, but both of them want the other side. One where he's not even working at all, so they're like just trying to take all of it.
They're especially scummy.
One's just being greedy and going, hey, we can get a bit extra.
Yeah, but yeah, and he makes that point. It's like the land he bought just happens to cross the border a little bit. Or maybe it's a bigger bit, I don't know. It felt like a little bit, because it felt like he was at the edge of his land and he's like, oh, this line here, this chunk, chunk's past the border. So both states want to tax him. And, Kim gives it some thought. She comes up with a solution. We can offer them a sort of a payout, which will be much better than paying for fees for years and eventually fighting them in court and all the rest of it. You could solve it now with a lot of bit of money, which will be much less than the actual taxes that you'd have to pay for. Because I imagine tax on oil is probably
pretty high, yeah.
So she has this, and he leaves, and it's just a nice normal meeting, sets up why she's there, kind of thing. Admittedly, you could maybe argue there's some metaphors going on here with both sides wanting a piece of the pie, kind of thing.
Yeah. That's it, isn't it? It's everyone being greedy. It's like no one's happy just sticking to their territory.
Yeah,
they want the other side, because Gus, he can't. Even though he's not actively showing it, Gus wants.
You're thinking Hector's the criminal. I was thinking more Saul.
Well, they both. Well, I was going to get to that one soon, but Gus wants Hector's stuff, and Hector wants Gus's stuff.
I was thinking of Saul wanting all of Kim, but she's like she can give him an X amount, but she's doing too much. I was thinking that sort of line of thought, but yeah. So he leaves, and then she gets in the car. She's making her notes. Car's stuck in the dirt, like little tire stuck. So she goes and gets a bit of wood, and she has to push it out herself. And I think at this point I'm just thinking, oh, this is how hard she's trying right now. She's struggling. She's literally pushing a car. Like this is just everything on her back. But then she pushes it out. I was actually worried that honestly, I thought the way this scene was going to end is she was going to fall in the mud, and she'd have to go to a meeting covered in mud. Like I thought. And that's maybe a bit more comical, but it's also not out with the realm of what Saul might do.
Yeah, I was thinking the same.
But of course, what actually happens is the car, obviously it's not, the brakes aren't on, it's rolling, it's going into the oil pump, and she has to run after it. And she's running desperate, she just gets in time and breaks the car. And I'm like, this is the real metaphor of the scene here. This is the foreshadowing of she's juggling too much, and yeah, she just caught that in time, but eventually something's going to fall through the cracks.
She's pushing it right to the edge, isn't she?
That's
it.
There you go. Push it right to the edge.
It's close when she stops it.
Now, admittedly, I didn't necessarily think it was foreshadowing something specifically with the car. I thought the car was just kind of the metaphor. I didn't think it was.
Well, I did as well,
Yeah.
especially since this show has done a lot of metaphors with cars, even.
Yeah. So I didn't think it was necessarily going to be a car-related thing later. But sure enough, end of the episode, she's just talking to herself in the car. She's like, all right, practicing her speech, basically.
Yeah, she's practicing a speech, yeah.
Practicing her speech, where she's going to convince the other lawyers to just concede and accept the one-time payment for the land. And I actually really like how this was done. I thought this was
fantastic. I think it works even better because they set the mechanic up a few episodes ago.
With the little micro nap, yeah. I love how this was done. She's practicing her speech. She repeats a line, and then there's just a sort of flash of white, flash of black, and then you just see an airbag.
Yeah.
And that's it. And it's like, oh shit, she's fell asleep at the wheel.
Yeah. I love that we're with her again. We mentioned it when it was the sleep one, where it's like it just passes in an instant, and you feel in her mind because it's just it's over.
Yeah.
And it's the same here. You don't see it happen. It's just that was a crash. That just happened.
It was perfect. It put us exactly in the same place as her, where it's just all of a sudden shit. And she gets out of the car. She's obviously got blood in her face, airbags out. Like the car's open. There's papers because she had this big box of documents and the papers flying everywhere. And
she seems to be holding her arm. Funnily.
Yeah, her arm seems to be hurt. The camera pulls back, and it's just sort of the chaos. This is the carnage that's happened. Mm-hmm. Cut to credit, and I think, especially since we know she was taking on extra jobs because Saul, or at least she believed Saul couldn't cover his half of things. Now, admittedly, you could argue that she might have went down this path anyway, at least in the sense of working too hard and pushing herself too far. Would that have happened, though, if she wasn't out on her own because she'd believed that she could go on her own with Saul as this?
I mean, not to bring up again, but you could argue that this is also a case of pride getting in the way and causing trouble. We mentioned how Saul, he said, no, we've got the money, you can relax. But she was too proud of her reputation to stop, and she had to go and do this right now.
Yeah, she didn't need to take this case. This was an extra thing. Like the Mesa Verde we saw, she was already like sleeping at the office getting that done. She didn't need another thing. With
the Mesa Verde, this was just managing. This was just what she had to do. It was tough, but it was a case where she couldn't let it go because this was the only thing that she had.
Yeah, it was in the scene with the client, the oil rig. She's like, oh, this is in 2 weeks. Like this deadline, you have to get this sorted in 2 weeks. And he's like, you can do that? It's like, yeah. And I'm like, oh god, no, she can't. Yeah. Stop it right now, Kim. Take a break.
Yeah, when you take on that much, it was only a matter of time before something fell apart. I just didn't expect it to be her car.
Yeah, literally, it was the car literally going into a ditch. So no, but big ending. It feels like things are all coming to a head in a really sort of. Because it's funny, because I think the second half of this, after the trial with Chuck, which was kind of this big exciting conclusion to a lot of stuff, it feels like after that, things had calmed down a little bit, but I feel like it's slowly built. It's become more of a slow, I don't want to say dread, to an extent dread.
It's kind of just been reorienting the direction of the show, because so much of it before that for the season and a half was right. This is it all. It's all about Chuck. Before that, it was all about Hamlin.
Yeah, very organically though. I think.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't think any of this feels like it's been a forced extra thing.
No. It's all been, okay, this is what things were. This is where we want to be next. So we're going to just nudge things in that way, slowly. It's taken, 4 episodes. This is the 4th one since that trial. Yeah. And it's like, finally where I'm going, okay, I see where they've been nudging it to now. I get it.
I wonder if, does Kim accept the stress she's under? Does she see it as Saul's fault? Does she see it as him sort of putting this burden on her? Does she realise it's her own pride that's got in the way that she took on too much? Because it didn't really feel like she needed to take this extra job. Really?
No, it felt like she was managing in terms of money. Because she even said to Saul, when he offered the money, she's like, I can cover us for a few months. Like, she was maybe not well off, but she was managing, certainly. Yeah. And this felt like she couldn't turn it down. Like, again, maybe it was the pride. It was, I can do this.
I think maybe a small theme that's creeping in here is a lack of communication. Like, if Saul and Kim just actually spoke to each other about this stuff honestly, without putting on these fronts, they wouldn't be in this situation right now. Saul wouldn't feel. I mean, maybe he still would, because he has like the extra pride for one. But like Kim, certainly, I don't think would feel the need to go that one step further.
No, you're right.
Certainly, like if she is open about what she's going through and everything she's doing, but then you could argue, is she kind of saying that? Because it's not like she's been necessarily been hiding it either. Is Saul just so wrapped up in his own pride and world that he's not noticing?
Yeah,
Like,
he's very oblivious, isn't he, to anything that's not him.
Because sure, he's noticing, oh, you're sleeping at the office, you're only coming home to pick up clothes and stuff, but he's not really treating it like it's hard on her. He's just kind of taking it as like a...
it's kind of like, that's just part of the job, instead of asking if she's okay.
Yeah, it's that scene when he comes in with the booze, like, oh, take 5 minutes, this isn't that important.
Yeah, he accepts that she's doing a lot, and she's, like you say, sleeping in the office. He knows this, but he never seems concerned about her welfare.
Yeah, he never thinks about it like you should. Like, I think if you see anyone close to you doing this, you start to worry for their health, just from a mental point of view. Like, no. There's a reason why you have time off. There's a reason why most people don't work for 2 days of the week, and so on. Like, there's a reason for all these things. Stop it. I mean, I can relate to an extent. I think creative people can maybe relate to a lot of this, actually, because sometimes when you're doing a creative project, you feel like you have to just constantly work. Like, you feel guilty for going like an hour without doing anything on the thing you're working on, kind of thing.
Yeah, it's something that it's a term from games development, but the crunch. The
crunch, yeah. There you
go. That's it, isn't it? Where you feel like, no, got no time, just overdrive, pack it all in, can rest afterwards.
Yeah, you can meet your deadline, kind of thing. But that's and admittedly, Kim has a deadline for this particular case, but her job, generally speaking, shouldn't have a crunch in the same way. Sure, there's deadlines of court dates and things like that, but I mean, there's a reason why they're typically months. Like, usually.
Yeah, and you can set the court date yourself. You choose when that is, to an extent.
To an extent, but there's a reason why it'll be like a year before we actually have the day in court, kind of thing. There's a reason why these things take that time. It's because it's to give all parts of the process the time they need to. And but again, creatives, game makers, filmmakers. They finish a project, they can take 3 months off if they want after that. I mean, maybe not,
do?
Maybe not from a financial point of view. And yeah, like we say, typically even those types of people have drive. Like, they have drive where they want to start making stuff. But they can take some time after, even if it's just a couple of weeks. This is like an all-year-round job for Kim.
Yeah.
The odd vacation aside, this is an all-year-round job. She has to pace herself.
Well, that's it. She can't even really take vacations at the moment because there's no one to cover it. For her to take a vacation, she has to get ahead or catch up after. There's no one else to cover for her. So I think that really shows just how much she's having to do.
Yeah. But how much of it is, to an extent, self-inflicted?
I mean, yeah. I think anything past Mesa Verde. I mean, you could argue that, but that was more her striking out on her own and saying, no, I'm going to do this.
Yeah. Which,
it's
I mean, arguably...
to a degree. But
it's self-inflicted, but you understand the decision, you understand why she wanted to do it.
There's a positive reason for it.
Yeah. I mean, you could argue that she was being naive, she didn't think it through maybe as much as she should have, kind of thing, but you understand that whereas taking on that extra case was just flat out, this is a mistake. You're
doing too much now.
Yeah. So no, big things, finales next week. I can't believe we're at the end of season 3 already, but it's just about time. So let us know what you think of the episode in the comments below. Like, subscribe, all that stuff, helps us out a lot. Get us on Twitter at mailed_fuzz for channel updates. Individual Twitters are on the screen. If you want to support the channel, if you like the conversations, go over to patreon.com/mailfuzztv. See what you can get bonus-wise for supporting the channel. But that's us, guys. So thank you once again for watching. Keep watching TV. We'll see you next time. Have you got any vanilla?